guys, it's Ann, and it is Monday morning, and I have been corrected. I think on Friday I said we were at episode 35, and today we're actually at episode 38. I guess there were some in there that I didn't see, or somehow they got loaded in. I have no idea, but we're on episode 38 of Small Business Connections, and we are really busy. Actually, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is that on Friday at 10 a.m., we're going to be talking about our business and what we've done over the past few weeks. We're going to basically do a live case study of content marketing and what happens when you just go nuts with the content marketing. Because if you've been paying attention to us, that's what we've done. We have the live stream, we have a podcast, we've got this going up on our website, we've got the podcast going up on our website. So we have about 1 billion things happening all at once. And what does that do? How does it affect your business? And I will tell you, I'll give you a hint that it's affected us very positively, but we'll give you some tips on how you can do something similar, maybe not have to go quite so crazy as we did, but really up your game and increase your income, your clients. So I want to remind you that you can leave comments. Tommy's over here. Tommy said, good morning. He's over here. You can leave comments. I can pull them up like this. And you can even do a shameless plug within the comments and people will see them as they go in and comment. So please do feel free to do that. And I want to introduce you to our guests. So give me 1 minute. We have Sean Heritage. So Sean, can you tell everybody a little bit about how we know each other and what you do and why I think you're a leadership specialist?
Well, I can do all but the last thing. I don't know that I can put words in your mouth, but good morning, everybody. This is Sean Heritage. I'm out here in Mountain View, California, 1 mile from the Googleplex. And my current team makes fun of me all the time because I have the worst internet on the team, even though I live in the heart of Silicon Valley. But years ago, it was fall of 94. I moved into to a townhouse in Riva, Maryland, and I was fortunate enough to have Ann and Blaze as my neighbors. And I think we've been friends ever since then. And I remember I have two distinct memories of that 2 to 3 year time we shared. One of which, or both of which I'll never forget. One was there was a day that I had proudly purchased a new big screen television, and I had wheeled my box out to the trash or recycling bin in front of my house. And this nice lady who lived next door wanted me to think about whether or not it was a smart idea to let the world know that I had a new television in my house, potentially ripe for the picking. And then another one was when we had this arrangement because we both had small patches of grass in front of our house that you guys purchased the lawnmower and I would mow the lawn. And there was one day that both of our lawns were rather long and I was delinquent in my duties. And this pregnant lady was mowing both lawns and I felt horribly. So there are many more pleasurable memories from our time together and throughout the years, but those are two things I'll never forget from the beginning of our journey together.
That is so funny. That's so funny. And yeah, we've had a long friendship. So we moved out basically at the same time. You moved to Italy and we moved to England. Yep. And we ended up seeing each other over there and then moving back here. And then it's been a lot of moves for you, especially because you're in the Navy. Or you were in the Navy. I
was in the Navy. And that'll bring me to the rest of your question. So I am a retired naval officer. I retired out of my last job at the Defense Innovation Unit here in Silicon Valley almost a year ago. So August 1st of last year was my last day in the Navy, or my first day as a civilian. And as a practitioner of leadership, like so many in the military and beyond, I was afforded many opportunities to invest in my craft, not only as a Cryptologic Warfare Officer, but as a leader of teams. It's something that I'm passionate about, something I became a student of, and something that I like to write about.
Yeah, well, I was about to say that. And you write a blog, or you were writing a blog called Connecting the Dots.
Correct.
And it
go ahead.
For me, it was like I knew you, but it wasn't until you wrote Connecting the Dots that I went, oh, there's something deeper inside there that he doesn't always spill out every time you talk to him. So I learned so much from it. It's one of my favorite blogs, actually.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I like to observe the world around me, and share what I think is rather obvious to some, but maybe frame it in a slightly different way, and give us all an opportunity and maybe a reason to think more deeply about the things that we don't notice on a daily basis.
Right. Well, and so I want to go into what I say, give me some things to talk about. You gave me a bunch of things to talk about. But one of the things that I love about you is how much you love to help other people. So I have the pleasure of knowing Marianne, and the fact that she has said to me so many times how many people you mentor, not just when you were in the Navy, but you continue to do. So, some of these things are probably things that you've learned through that. Some of them are things you've learned through life. But let's start with eat your broccoli first.
So this is a philosophy in our house, that I just thought of at the dinner table one night. Like so many kids, our son Barrett, he likes to do what he enjoys most first. And if there's time for other things after that, then he might do them. Right? Whether it's, I'm going to play outside before I do my homework, then, oh, it's too late, I can't do my homework. This was how he was approaching his dinner meal, and how I have altered my eating habits over the years, in that he would like to eat his dessert first. And oftentimes he would not have room for that, which was the most nutritious part of his meal. So it's a common theme, and I apply it regularly, and I get some eye rolls from him still to this day. Just a reminder that it's important to do the things that we might not be so excited about, but the things that our body needs most, or the things that are most important to our long-term goals, that we often lose sight of when we focus on rewarding ourselves first, or doing the things that we enjoy, as opposed to the things that we might grow from, learn from, and be a better as a result of.
Yeah. Sean, it's funny. I don't know if you know this about me, but I grew up really, really poor. I think you knew this. I grew up really, really poor, and I got so lucky because when I was in first grade, my parents found out that I could go to the Boys and Girls Club after school for very little money. Right? That the Boys and Girls Club would cover it. And I learned so much there, but it's so funny that the biggest thing I learned was to do your homework first, right? It was a similar idea. So my kids, Blaze always says, gosh, you're so smart. And I'm like, no. Somebody drilled that into me when I was in first grade, that you would show up and there were all these games to do. There were all these wonderful toys to play with, but you had to do your homework first, and you had to show that you'd done it. So I think it's something that we've drilled into our kids as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. Some of these, I didn't ask you further instruction because I'm like, I want to know. I want you to tell me. So no thank you bites. What are they?
So I excuse the theme of food, but this is one of many things I learned from my wonderful bride, Marianne. So again, going back to the dinner table, and at one time, rather picky eater, our son, Marianne adopted the philosophy that you can't say no, but you can't have a no thank you bite. So oftentimes she would offer Barrett some food, and he would say no. And she would insist that he takes a no thank you bite. One bite, you need not take any more, but you need to try it. Taking that mindset away from the dinner table, it's something that he has done in life to try lots of things. So as you know, Barrett is very passionate about swimming, very passionate about music. Not as much as Zane, but he likes his music. Over the course of his childhood, he tried soccer, he tried taekwondo, he tried baseball, he tried fencing, he tried gymnastics, he tried horseback riding, and then he found swimming. It was over the course of all of those no thank you bites, early in his life, where he ultimately found something that he loved, not knowing that he was going to love swimming, not knowing that he was going to love music, keyboard or bass guitar, but things by taking a no thank you bite, Marianne insisting, try it, that he found his passions. And I think that there's a lot of times in life when we don't give ourselves the opportunity, or we just say no thank you, don't even try after getting an invitation to try a new experience with one of our friends or even at work. I think it's important for all of us to to take advantage of these opportunities that others are offering us, and at least try it. You might like it. Like the like
Right.
cereal commercial for Mikey, right? Back in the day.
Exactly. Can I ask you, because I think this started before you had Barrett. I think that maybe it started the year, and I think it was a whole year that you guys made the rule that you couldn't, and you were moving, that you couldn't say no when someone asked you to taste something.
Maybe so. That was more Marianne than me. That's one of the many things that she has helped me do in life, is expand my horizon and try new things. I was very comfortable in the life that I had back then. In fact, as you may remember, I was resigning from the Navy at the earliest opportunity because I wanted to get on with what I thought was my real life. And she helped me see, no, there's so much more we can do in the Navy. There's so many more places we can see, so many experiences we can have. And I'm grateful for that, because, we would still, not that it's a bad place, but we might still be in Riva, Maryland, in that townhouse where we met you.
Right.
Had it not be for her insisting, hey, let's give this other stuff a try. So I think you're right that the idea did start well before Barrett became a part of our life.
Right. Well, and
But
I think
her.
it's so easy for us to think, oh, well, let's teach these things to our kids. And it's so hard for us to apply. I did it with meditation. I'm like, yeah, I can't sit still that long. I can't sit still that long for the longest time. And finally I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to try it. Yeah. And I love it now, so it's something that we can all learn from. So
absolutely.
You gave me my choice. You said you could pick things. Prepositional leadership. I looked at it and I was like, okay, so that has to do with words and the way we look at talking about our leaders, right? Is this correct?
Absolutely. So again, I mentioned that I like to observe the world around me, and I pay careful attention. I might not be the most vocal person ever in a room, but I think I'm among the most observant. And I look for cues from people to signal who they are. Sometimes it's their incorrect first impressions based on just what I see. But I've learned that language says a huge part of who we are and how we lead. And I don't know who specifically is in your audience, but when I was in the Navy, I was leading cross-generationally. And there was one time when I tried to do my best Spicoli imitation from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And a sailor had asked me, he said, thank you for your time today. I really enjoyed sitting down with you. And then I won't do it here and embarrass myself, but Mr. Hand, you're here, I'm here, it's our time. And it really hit me that prepositions and pronouns say a lot about who we are. I've found over the course of my career, my life, that those who use the pronouns I and me over we and our, or even they, are more oriented towards being team players, and to navigate towards individuals like that. At the same time, I would often get a compliment, intended compliment. So I really enjoyed working for you. And I said, no, nobody works for me. I don't work for anybody. We work with each other, right? And if anything, if you want to use the word or the preposition for, recognize that seniors work for juniors. It's not the other way around. So I think the words matter a great deal as we try to build teams. And we unintentionally signal a lot about who we are and how we are wired by the language that we use. Prepositions and pronouns being the most obvious, in my opinion.
That's really, it's really good. And it's not something I had put a lot of thought into. It's actually one of the reasons, Sean, when I said, why did I pick you? Why did I think you're a guru of leadership, for lack of a better word? I'm missing the word there, but it's the self-awareness that you have. And it's not just the self-awareness, but the awareness of what's going on around you that has been so good. Because some of these things I haven't paid attention to. And I feel like I'm pretty self-aware, but I think it's, that one, I hadn't thought about it. It's for me, for the longest time. And when I would go and I work with somebody else, I would say we are doing this, right? And they'd say, gosh, you totally take ownership here. And I'm like, well, I work here, right? So shouldn't I? But I hadn't thought about it that way. And that, am I doing that here within my own office. So I'm going to have to think about how I'm talking.
Well,
So,
along those lines, you talked about self-awareness, and I'll introduce reflection and journaling. In my case, it was blogging, or is blogging to a lesser extent each day. But I chose to start blogging because I wanted to hold myself accountable for carving out time each week to think deeply about the world around me and myself. And I did a fair amount of writing just for myself before I was bold enough to start sharing it. And I think it's important that everybody carves out time to think. And writing was a good vehicle for me to force myself to think. And, we can talk a lot about what's going on in social media these days, and how people are so quick to judge, and don't do themselves any service by stopping and thinking. You rush to an opinion about something without thinking deeply about it. And I recently read a book by Dan Crenshaw, Fortitude, a congressman in Texas. And it was wonderful about the outrage culture, and people. One of the key messages that I took from that is that it's most responsible for us not to have an opinion until we can have an informed opinion. And that's something that I think self-awareness, thoughtful reflection is vital too, if you're going to have meaningful opinions.
absolutely. No, absolutely. And then the other thing actually that goes back to is we did a podcast a few weeks ago about going from busy to productive.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're busy, we're so busy, we're moving like this all the time. We're just moving so fast that we don't take that time. We don't carve it out. So I like the idea of carving it out, taking the time to really think about things and making sure you have it set into your schedule, because it's so easy to just be too busy to do that.
Absolutely.
So I do a lot of thinking in the shower, but I'm not sure that's the same.
No, it's good.
Yeah. All right. So falling short differently. Is it?
So one of the jobs I was fortunate enough to have while I was in the Navy is I was the executive assistant to the director of the National Security Agency and U.S. Cyber Command. So Admiral Mike Rogers, now a dear friend, then my boss, always somebody who I respected. And being on his personal staff, he's very demanding for all the right reasons, and very forgiving at times. And there were many days that I left the office thinking that was my last day, that I had fallen short, I had messed up in some way that was I won't say unforgivable, but was not acceptable given the job and the responsibility. And he was very quick to remind me that, hey, falling short is okay, as long as we fall short differently every day. That when we fall short or we fail, as long as we grow and don't repeat the same mistakes, no harm, no foul. Dust yourself off and learn from it. And I really admired that a great deal, and I appreciated that because it helped me grow. It helped me feel more comfortable with putting myself out there, trying new things, and I won't say celebrating the fact that I was falling short, but acknowledging that it was okay, and to forgive myself when I didn't meet my own expectations or felt as though I wasn't meeting the expectations of others, as long as I could take a different approach the next time that situation arrived. So I was very grateful for that lesson. One of the many things I learned working side by side with him.
That's great. Well, and it's falling short or failing. It's an opportunity to learn, right? If clearly you have to learn from it, but it is so important in our lives to accept the fact that we're not going to always get it right.
Yes, and I guess maybe as a civilian who never served, if those kind of people are in your audience, this might seem really obvious. Of course, this is life. But in the military culture, I'm generalizing here, that's not the case. It's really largely what we call a zero defect mentality, that if you screw up, it's time to move on. And it's rather unfortunate. And it's such a contrast with where I live now, out here where, people like to say, fail fast, fail fast. Like there's
Right.
pride in failure. There's pride in trying. You saw, and I know you watched it, given how big a fan you are, the NASA and SpaceX launch
Yes.
over the weekend, right? How many times did they fall short differently on the path to making that amazing thing happen just the other day?
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the best things that ever happened to me, and at the time I didn't think of it as a great thing to have happen to me, because I was quite honestly, I was angry at the person. But I was training for, I did Ironman, but I took a 2-year journey to it. I decided that I was going to take a long run to it. I was going to take my time getting there, and I was really going to work hard. So I hired this trainer, and I went in, and the guy was literally, he had been Mr. World at some point down the line. So super crazy fit. And he says, I want you to do this exercise. And it was a standing on one leg thing, using the other arm, doing this thing. And I couldn't do it. And I probably tried 10 times in about 15 minutes. And it was making me so angry. And he said to me, how dare you be angry at that? He says, how dare you be angry at that? Because I've been practicing this for years and I've gotten it. It's going to take you that long. I was mad at the time, but now I look back and say, am I judging myself where I am right now based off of, how far they've gotten, and they've worked so far, so long for it. So it's a matter of really changing your perspective on things like that. Should I already be that good at something?
Absolutely. Right. When they say that we compare ourselves, our blooper reel, to somebody else's highlight reel, something to that effect, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. Yeah, I think I've heard that. That's really good. So, all right, let's talk about incremental yeses and why you need them.
So I think that as I look back on my time in the Navy, I always prided myself on being one of the more creative thinkers and migrating towards people like me in that regard, right? I migrated towards people unlike me because I really value diverse opinions and experiences. But when it comes to people that are not pleased with the status quo or wanting more than the status quo, that was my tribe, if you will. Right. And a lot of times we would get really upset with the pace of progress. I read a lot of books about innovation. We mentioned SpaceX earlier, and that's incredible. The disruptive technology that was incorporated into that, and so many other things out here. But we grew impatient with the pace of progress. And as I thought more deeply about some of the most amazing things that have happened in our world, in our lifetime, before our lifetime, I came to realize that the most innovative things that have happened incrementally, right? So trying to make myself comfortable that one step forward is good. Right. If you want to get 10 steps down the road, you got to put one foot in front of the other, et cetera. So incremental yeses is a way of acknowledging that you're not going to be an overnight success, right? That all the overnight successes worked hard for years in order to make that happen. Right. And we can't be frustrated that things aren't happening as fast as we might like. But it's important for us to point out to others that progress is in fact being made. I think a lot of times, if you look at progress on a day-to-day basis, you don't see it. You have to help others see it. So, hey guys, gals, we are moving the ball forward. Yes, we aren't moving as fast as we might like, but there is progress. I would say, look back, admire your wake, in nautical terms, admire the progress that you made from behind the ship, because you are progressing. And I think that's important, that you should celebrate these incremental yeses, acknowledge that there's much further that you may want to go. But when progress is made, celebrate that progress, point it out to others.
Yeah. Well, and, go back to the space program, right? How long did it take them to get to the moon? It was not, a year or 2 years. It was, a decade. At the very least, it was a decade. I think it was closer to 2 decades from the very beginning of the thought of what we were going to do, right?
Yes. And something closer to home, look at your company, right? So to the observer from 3,000 miles away, like, wow, look at this amazing progress. You're a strong company. You have your own facilities. You have a great team now. I remember when it just was starting out. And note to some of us, it looks easy. Of course, Ann did that. That was easy. All those incremental yeses that you and your team have got to over the years. I mean, definitely worthy of celebration.
Well, you know, and it's actually something I tell people too. They're like, how long have you been in business? And I say, well, 4 years. But truthfully, it started that first time I went on Facebook, right? The first time I went on Facebook, I said to Blaze, I think there's something you can do with this to make money. I just don't know what it is. I think there's a business here. I just don't know how to do it. And I said that for a long time before I went, I know how you do it. Right.
Yeah.
So, but you had to keep finding little things. You know, I started the blog. I had the old YouTube channel, you know, all those little things. So yeah, that's a good, I like that. Thank you.
Well, aligned to that. And I was thinking about this over the weekend. And I don't know what book I got it from. It's not my original thought, but adjacent opportunities. What are the things, what are your long-term goals in life? We have no idea, really. We take one step forward. We write your blog. Okay. Now we write your you do your podcast. Now you have this small company, right? What's next? You don't know where anything's going to lead. You just have to take that step forward or acknowledge that incremental yes, and then look around for what's next, because a new opportunity will be there.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, this podcast, we'll talk about it Friday. I'm going to do a whole case study on what we've just done, which is, you know, really 7 weeks of a lot of work, but we just started this podcast so that I could get my clients in front of people. That was the point. I was just going to get my clients in front of more people by using my personal audience. And then it grew. And now, you know, 38 episodes later, we've got a podcast and a YouTube channel and all these other things happening with it. So it's amazing to watch how one little step can lead to so many others. And we have no idea where this goes next.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. This one, I really am excited about who begets what. So tell me where this is, what this is.
Well, I think like so many of my thoughts, it's a rather simple one that I have learned over the course of life, no different than many, that what I do isn't matter as much to me as who I'm with. So there are things in life that I love doing, but if I'm doing them with the wrong people, they're not so much fun, right? And there are people who I love dearly that I enjoy being around so much that it doesn't matter what it is we are doing. And as I look at the company that I'm on right now, I work at a company called Authenticate. It's a small, we call us a scale up, 105 people strong, headquartered here in Silicon Valley, but have small offices back east and in Indianapolis. Neither here nor there. But as I look at the journey that we've embarked upon, there are changes to what we do as a team because we have so many amazing people on our team. So seizing opportunity around us, the business plan might alter, you know, from year to year, as great minds on our team come up with new ideas, new technology, and identify new opportunities. And I think that when we are building a team, a lot of times people will say, what is it we're going to do? And let's find some people who can help us do it. There's goodness in that approach. But I've found, and a lot of times it's because in the military, you are good, bad, or indifferent. You are dealt the team that you are assigned to. You don't have a lot of say over that. But when you get issued your mission statement, then you start putting great minds around that mission. The mission might change as a result of input from across the team. And I think that's really important, is to, you know, surround yourself with great people, people that you enjoy, and then figure the rest out as you go. Again, I don't know who said this, but you know, we're the average of the 5 people we spend most of our time with. Yes. And if you have great company, then there's great things that you guys will do, or anybody will do, if you focus more on who you are with rather than what you are doing, and figure that out together.
Right. I love that. And actually, when you are in the civilian world, and you, especially if you're a small business owner, and that's who our audience is. Our audience is almost all small business owners. But it starts, I mean, yes, you have the people who you work with, your clients and those people, but also we have this opportunity as small business owners to have a network, right? Who are the people in a wider network? And there's a local network here called Network in Annapolis. Marianne came to it while she was out here, actually. And it's just amazing the way this group has come together. It was started by John Maggio. He brought these people together, and it has built and built and built. But the support by that group for each other has been amazing to watch. And then to watch how each of those people have grown because they've surrounded themselves with each other. It's been really cool. It so matters who you put yourself with, right?
Yes.
It matters the people who you're with, because, what was when we were growing up, one bad apple, right, spoils the whole bunch, right?
Yeah.
I remember my mom saying that, and who you hung out with, but it will matter your entire life, who you hang out with.
Absolutely. Right. Sometimes it's your decision. Sometimes you get lucky and you move into a townhouse in Riva Road or in Riva. That's just some wonderful people.
We did. We got so lucky, and I am eternally grateful for that. And it's so funny because I was talking to Zane about Barrett the other night and what he's got going on, and it's neat to watch our kids who haven't even our youngest or my youngest and your only, how they have found each other. And they only see each other once in a while, but they still really care about each other. So it's really been a really neat relationship all the way along. So plus my kids, this, my kids call you Uncle Sean. That's, you're just part of the mix. For the longest time, they didn't know you weren't a brother. They're like, so whose brother is he anyway?
Right. It was hanging little Blaze by his feet over the staircase.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
what big brothers do. That's what uncles do, right?
Exactly. That's what uncles do. So, hey, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. This is really, really fun. So I do want to talk about what's coming up tomorrow. You guys know I would not be with me if I didn't talk about entrepreneurs and why you need to take care of your mental health. It is so important. It's important for everybody, but we're going to talk specifically about entrepreneurs, why you need to do it, how you can do it, and where there is help if you're feeling like you're really struggling. We want to make sure that there's help. Also, I want to remind you, Sean, I don't know if you know this, I started ASMM Digital Campus, so ASMM Campus, and it is an educational tool for people who want to know how to use social media for their small businesses. So you can go over there, you get a free membership, you get a subscription. We have new courses coming up pretty much every week. We've got a new one coming up in the next few days on email marketing. So please go over there and subscribe, even if you just do a free membership. We could use the subscribers over there, so we'd really appreciate that. And Sean, I really, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for all you do. I know you inspire me and inspire many people. So we appreciate your example, Ann.
Thank you so much, Sean. All right, hold on one second. I'm going to end the live.